I never imagined I'd end up in a moment like this. My life had been a whirlwind of highs and lows, but through it all, I believe my relationship with James was something special. We'd spent nearly 5 years together, and despite the usual bumps along the road, I always thought we'd find a way through. Together. Or so I believed. It all unraveled one evening. James had told me he'd be working late, so I invited a few friends over for some casual company. Among them was Mark, a longtime friend. Over the years, our friendship had taken on a subtle depth, an unspoken closeness that neither of us ever acted on until that night. Drinks flowed, laughter echoed, and at some point, boundaries blurred. What began as harmless reminiscing shifted into something neither of us saw coming. One moment, we were sharing stories. Then suddenly, we were sharing a kiss. It was impulsive, thoughtless, and wrong. As soon as it happened, a wave of guilt crashed over me. I pulled away, heart pounding, realizing how far I'd stepped out of line. I wanted to fix it, to stop it from going further, to pretend I hadn't just fractured the trust in my marriage. But before I could even ask Mark to leave, the front door flew open. James stood there. His expression was frozen in shock. Face drained of color, eyes wide and filled with disbelief. My voice caught in my throat. I couldn't move. He didn't speak at first. He just stood there, staring as though the world had tilted on its axis. "James, wait. It's not what it looks like." I blurted out, my voice shaking. But in that heavy silence, my words felt meaningless. Mark, clearly uneasy, began collecting his things and hurried out without a word. But I barely noticed. My focus was locked on James, on the devastation carved into his face. My world felt like it was collapsing right in front of me. "I never thought you were capable of this," he said at last, his voice low and hollow. There was no fury in his tone, no shouting, just raw, bitter disappointment. That cut deeper than any outburst ever could. "James, please. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. I made a terrible mistake. Just let me explain." I pleaded, my voice barely holding together. "I don't need an explanation," he said quietly, shaking his head. "You already said everything you needed to, with your actions." The calm in his voice terrified me. It wasn't cold. It was final. He wasn't just upset. He was heartbroken in a way I couldn't reach. He wasn't even looking at me anymore. It was like he was seeing through me, as though the person he loved no longer existed. And that's when it truly hit me. It wasn't the kiss that ended us. It was the breach of trust. The emotional erosion that led me to a place where protecting what we had no longer crossed my mind. He wasn't furious that I'd kissed someone else. He was shattered that I'd stopped valuing what we had enough to keep it safe. "I didn't want this," I whispered, feeling like the air had been sucked from my lungs. He exhaled slowly, his voice even softer now. "That's the thing. You didn't even think of me. Not once. Not about us. And that's what hurts the most." Without another word, he turned and walked out, leaving behind a silence so loud it rang in my ears. I stood there, stunned, drowning in guilt. His words echoed over and over. "It's not the mistake. It's the fact that you stopped caring enough to avoid it." Since that night, I haven't heard from James. He moved out. I've tried reaching out, but deep down I know the damage is done. Irreversible. What hurts the most isn't losing him. It's knowing I was the one who caused it. That our love, our bond, everything we built, crumbled because I let my own loneliness speak louder than loyalty. Now, in the silence he left behind, I finally understand. It wasn't just betrayal, it was neglect. And in that moment of weakness, I became someone he could no longer trust to guard what we had.